Russia officially invades Ukraine. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. Joe Roper coming at you. And today it happened. Russia crossed the border, is bombing, is invading Ukraine. And what does this mean for your dollars? Well, here are some things we have to think about with Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine currently supplies the world about 35% of its semiconductor grade neon, which is needed in manufacturing of microchips. So we already have a really tight supply of semiconductors and microchips. So this will have an effect on cars and computers. So expect prices to continue to rise. Russia supplies over 90% of the palladium, and they supply 40% of the natural gas to Europe. They also are the third largest supplier of oil. So that means that more than likely, oil, as we've seen today, oil is going to continue to go up. We're going to see gas prices increase. We're going to see inflation go up. This invasion is going to hit your pocketbook. It is going to hit your wallet. You are going to feel it more at the pumps, in the grocery store, when you go to Best Buy, when you buy these high-tech gadgets. It is going to be there. That aside from the devastation and the atrocities that are going to be committed to the Ukrainian people, the positive I can take out of this is Ukraine is not part of NATO. So that means we do not have to respond. We do not have to be involved in this. And Biden has come out and said he is not going to send any of our young men or our young women over there to be put in harm's way because of this. My guess is it's going to be short. Russia's going to take over Ukraine. It's going to be part of Russia. I mean, they were part of Russia, or excuse me, they were part of the USSR up until 1991. And Biden has publicly stated that his goal before he retires is to return Russia to what the USSR's geographical footprint was in the past. And Ukraine is one step closer to that. Now, we are not amassing troops, but we are moving troops to our NATO allies to say, hey, look, you go into Ukraine, we don't like it, we're going to do sanctions, but we don't want you to move any further. I don't believe that's what Putin wants. Putin has not come out and said that. And I honestly don't believe that Putin is going to want to stop the supply of natural gas or the supply of palladium because wars are expensive and Russia needs money. So I believe that even though he's done what he's done, I don't believe he is going to stop and pull back in other areas. Now, the markets, up until this point, they've not liked this. And the reason they haven't liked the situation is because there was uncertainty. What does it mean? And as we can see today, the Dow was down, the NASDAQ was up a little bit, maybe finished down for the day. We'll actually see what happens. And the S&P 500 was up and down for the day. So we're seeing the NASDAQ is close to bear market territory. The S&P 500 has crossed over correction territory, and I believe today the Dow Jones has now crossed over correction territory. Does that mean it could go deeper? Of course it could. Some experts were saying they would see an additional 6% pullback in the S&P 500 once the invasion happens. I don't think it's going to go that deep. I think, as I said, markets have been pricing this in. There was uncertainty. They didn't know it was going to happen. I think now that the invasion has happened, I think we'll see the markets begin to calm down. And if it stops at the Ukraine and it isn't a long drawn out war that we get pulled into, I could see the markets recovering fairly quickly from this. As I said in my video, I believe a week or two ago, historically speaking, these invasions on average create about a 5% pullback, and you have about a 40 to 50 day turnaround. So this is not something that is going to end our stock markets. So in the grand scheme of things, this is normal. This happens. Pullbacks happen. You have 2 great growth years, you have a pullback. We said going into this that we saw at least a 13 to 14% pullback this year, regardless of Russia invading Ukraine. So this is all normal. I would not want to see anybody panic and think that the end of the world is coming in the markets. I'm looking forward to brighter things down the road. Now, inflation being transitory, I don't know about that this year. I think the inflation numbers are going to get worse. We're going to see oil and gas go up. We're going to see technology increase. We're going to see cars. I mean, people are paying over $40,000 right now to buy a used car. It's one of the highest prices we've seen in the car markets. Has to do with chips, has to do with supply shortages, and these shortages will continue because we're seeing this unrest between Russia and Ukraine. So when I've said before that inflation is going to continue throughout 2022, we are going to see it throughout the rest of the year. I think next year it'll calm down. I think we'll get back to normal. We'll see things level out. it's going to be bumpy for a while. So as I said a few weeks ago, put on your seatbelt, put on your helmet, and just be ready for these markets to continue to be volatile until we're through this conflict. Make sure you're checking back every week so you can get updated on what is going on and how it's going to affect your pocketbook. I talk about Roth conversions all the time. Now is the time to be doing a Roth conversion. If you were invested in any tech stock and you're down 15, 20, 30%, convert that sucker over to a Roth. My goodness, when these markets come back, all of that growth is tax-free. I truly believe that just about every American out there would benefit from a Roth conversion, and the best time to do it is when the markets are down. I've run numbers on every age group, I've run numbers on every income level, and Roth conversions make sense. What most people forget about is they forget about Social Security taxes, they forget about Medicare premiums going up with IRMA, income-related medical adjustment amount. They forget about taxes going up in the future. So if you take the opportunity now in a down market to do some Roth conversions, when this thing comes back, all of that growth is tax-free. Make sure you check out my other videos on why Roth conversions make sense. Subscribe for future videos. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about in the future, and I'll see you next week.